for some reason, Will Wade is being asked about his legacy at NC State, but he was sure to let everybody know it will be right here in Raleigh.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Happy Thursday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, just a little bit ago, I was listening to the Will Wade radio show, and a question from the crowd popped up. The question was on if he wants to create his legacy for the long term of his career at NC State. And he went on to say, and I quote, "This is the best job I've ever had in terms of support of basketball and everything we need to win. It's on us to win, and it's not often that you get fired somewhere but end up in a better spot just a couple years later," unquote. So again, I don't really know why we're discussing this now, and we're in the middle of year one, and there was some BS narratives by I want to reiterate that, fake LSU accounts that LSU is already planning on firing their coach, and they're going to immediately target Will Wade. That's a bunch of crap. It's just people, doing what they do on the internet. None of that is true. And I know the fan base has had some animosity towards some of the slower start on the court, and we were told it would be a reckoning, and that's still much on the table, but I think people kind of got their expectations thrown out of whack because we lost in Maui, because we lost against Kansas, because we lost on the road to Auburn. It's like, man, we were expecting this to be, shot out of a cannon. NC State would arrive back on the scene to kind of reintroduce themselves to the college basketball world. And like I said, it's still on the table, but it's been a little bit slower. But Wade's saying that this is the best job he's ever had. And maybe that's some coach speak because this is the job he has right now. I believe him. Because the way that the fan base and the administration and the NIL in particular rallied around the signing of Will Wade and some of the roster construction that we witnessed in the spring, not only is NC State in a better position than we've ever been before to support a head coach, but I'd have to imagine maybe compared to LSU, this is a better spot for him to flourish in his career.
I mean, how many basketball national championships would you have to win consecutively at LSU before basketball became king, right?
You couldn't.
At NC State, I have a grand total of 1.
It might be less than 1.
Might be
a couple ACC titles. You're already up there.
But in all seriousness, this is a really exciting thing to hear from Will Wade. And could it be coach speak? Possibly. I never take away the possibility that coaches are doing coach speak. Fork found in kitchen. Breaking news at 6. But there's also the chance, because we know that Will Wade is such a straight shooter, he's never lied in terms of like where he wants to be and things like that, because he doesn't have to. He's at that point in his career, which, Grayson and I have worked in the regular working world long enough to where we're somewhat at this point in our careers where you start calling your own shots. You say, I don't want to work for that type of company. I don't want to work here. This isn't what I want. Even in a bad job market like today, Grace and I both have 10 years of what we do in our respective fields. So you start saying, you know what? I'm not going to do that, actually. Will Wade is at that same spot where he doesn't have to lie and make things flower, because even if he said, hey, I'm here right now, I'm happy right now, what's Kevin Howell and company going to do about it? They're going to fire him and get a new one? You're going to get a new Will Wade? You think you got a Will Wade machine somewhere back there? No, it doesn't work like that. So ultimately, him saying that this is the most support that he's felt and that he wants to be here, it aligns with everything he said so far. The biggest thing that I take away from him saying was, my next job will be a place I believe I can win the national championship. And he landed in Raleigh after saying that.
Yeah.
And now he's saying this is the best job I've ever had. It all tracks up. It's not like these are fragmented things that when you put them together, they go against each other.
Yeah, it's a great point, because keep in mind, not only did we choose Will Wade, but he chose us. He could have stayed out in the job market and looked for bigger offers or what he perceived to be a better offer than NC State. We got in contact probably at the right time to do so. He said, NC State, their fan base, let's see what the resources could be like. I have a relationship with some folks there. Yeah, I think this could work. I actually think we could build something. And then he comes to NC State. He ramps up the fan base. He brings Andrew Slater with him, who has all the connections. And he got excited real quick. He said, I think I have everything I need here. Why can't it be us here at NC State? Why can't we build an empire here in Raleigh as opposed to whatever else the hell they're doing down the street, the Blue School? We can do it right here. If we focus on us, if we pull in all our resources and everybody buys into us, we can be anything we want to be. And he chose us to do that. Keep that in mind. Don't ever let that get lost in translation when, NC State loses a basketball game. For some reason, it's the end of the world. You can be frustrated. That's fine. But I need to hammer this home again. This is the guy for the job. This is the guy for the job we've had since V in the 90s and in the 80s. It's been that long. This is the most well-suited, well-fitted, most well-equipped coach we've had since back then. Rally around this guy. Rally around these players. Rally around this staff. And then, later in that show, he kind of went on to joke about how for some reason we can't win at home, but when we go on the road, we turn into a monster. Use that energy to funnel into some of these home games coming up. I think I've referenced this on here before, but Trey Turner, famous NC State Wolfpacker, shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies. Early in his career with the Phillies, which is just a couple of years ago, he was struggling mightily. This is one of the best hitters in the league, but he could not hit his weight in terms of average. And Philly, of all places, as we know, it's a tough place to play, especially when you're scuffling a little bit. The fan base, they'll jump all over you. In some ways, NC State is not so different. But what that fan base did back then, instead of piling on the guy, even despite his struggles, they gave him a standing ovation. And then what happened after that, he returned to his regular all-star self. Now, baseball and basketball is a different comparison, but I think that's where we need to angle our efforts in these next couple home games in the Lenovo Center. Be overly rowdy when we play Syracuse here next week. Be overly rambunctious to get this Red Reckoning up off the ground and back to where we hope that it can go. Be overly proud to put on the red and white and know that we can reach heights that we have not seen since the 80s and 90s. We can do that. We have what we need to do that. And I think Will Wade's comments, it kind of just fired me right back up. I think it kind of got lost these last couple of weeks in the scuffles, but when we find this thing and we all link up together, when we all buy in, that's coach, staff, administration, and fan base, it will be a reckoning. Believe that.
At the end of the day, when I look at where Will Wade is, what he's positioned to do and what he's done so far, I struggle to say, there have been a ton of things that have gone incredibly wrong. We knew coming in this was not going to be an undefeated team. Obviously, we would have liked to see more wins against, the out-of-conference slate that we had. But look at what the out-of-conference slate that beat us is currently doing. Which of those teams that beat us out of conference is bad or just completely tanking right now? I can't name one. For the most part, those are teams that are at the top of their conferences or near the top of their conferences, and you're okay with that. Obviously, you want the wins. Obviously, you want all those things. Will Wade wants it too. But the reality is these things take time. And even the craziest thing about it is, like has been mentioned on this show before, the things that Will Wade said was top 4 in the ACC and in the tournament. Quick question, Grayson. Where are we currently seated in the ACC?
Tied for 4th.
Tied for 4th, Mr. Boone says. What's our current net ranking, Grayson?
27th.
27th. Seems like you're not even on the bubble at that point, methinks. Am I correct there, Grayson?
You'd be on the right side of the bubble. We're in as of now.
Okay. So I don't remember many teams in the 20 range being like, we don't know. We don't know if they're in or they're out. So ultimately, let's take a second. Let's breathe. Let's understand every game does not have to be a referendum on Will Wade's legacy and what he is or is not as a coach, because he's only 19 games in. He's only 20 games in. I mean, what are we doing here? I said the same thing about Doran, and he's been here a lot longer. Every game should not be a referendum about whether or not this guy is the guy. You can look at a whole season maybe and say that, but even in Will Wade's case, I definitely wouldn't say that for year one. But I don't believe that should happen to any coach where one game you lose and all of a sudden, it's bad. 2 games, all of a sudden, you lose, let's say a quarter of your season in terms, or not even a quarter, but a fifth of your season to really good teams, and all of a sudden we're like, you're a terrible coach, it's a terrible team. Let's stop that. Every game, every play, every moment does not have to be a referendum of these coaches. However, we can look at larger sample size and say, all right, this is who you are. This is who we know you to be.
And last thing I heard that came out of this radio show that really revs me up. Will Wade had a comment about some of the branding and some of the jerseys and memorabilia and apparel that he was hoping to wear. He says, and I quote, "I want to wear the slobbering wolf, but they won't let me wear that on my jacket." And the next quote pertaining to wearing the throwbacks on opening night, he says, quote, "We got a scathing email from the university after the first game. They weren't happy. They might come back just one more time," unquote. As you can see, I have the slobbering wolf currently on my dome piece. I got that thing on me right now. It is one of the best representations, one of the best logos, one of the best parts of apparel of NC State you can get anywhere. Why on earth our own administration is crippling the branding of this university is still beyond me. What is it about wearing state across the front that's a trademark infringement? Why can Mississippi State do it? Why can Michigan State do it? Why are all these other schools having no problem using mascots as an alternate logo? Like Michigan State, for example, they have a sport-specific logo using their mascot. So like they have Sparty with a basketball. They have Sparty with a baseball bat. They have Sparty playing football. Why can't we do that with Mr. Wolf? Why can Kansas State do that, but NC State can't? Figure it out. NC State's administration is crippling the branding and further outreach of what this school can be in the future. Why on earth we would get in our own way, it continues to perplex me. And I know this is an off-the-wall rant. I had to get this off my chest. I cannot believe that you bring Will Wade, you ramp up the Red Reckoning. You know what else a reckoning entails? Honoring your past, right? Honoring your past, honoring the greats that played at NC State, which is partly the reason we wanted to wear the throwback uniforms in the first place. Why are you standing in the way of that if you're NC State? It makes no sense. Figure it out. Everyone in this fan base wants to proudly represent this university because there have been few things more infuriating than when you go to, let's just say you go to Lids in the mall, the hat store, and you have a gigantic wall of Carolina blue, Duke blue, you get a couple Wake Forest hats mixed in there, and oh, yeah, there's one little red NC State hat in the corner. Or you go to Walmart, pun intended for the DFC fans, and it's just covered in Carolina blue. And then there's one little rack of NC State stuff. Or you go to Dick's Sporting Goods, it's the same story. It's time, actually, it's well past time that NC State levels up. It's well past time that NC State gets proud about the red and white, gets proud about our old school logos, a la the slobbering wolf, which is the best. The diamond logo, same deal for football. Why can't we do a regular yearly throwback game is craziness. We've done it once in the Notre Dame game. It was one of the best games we all remember, and we have not seen it since. Figure it out. If you are the NC State administration, figure it out. We're all on the same page of wanting it. Why are you pushing in the opposite direction? Okay, rant over. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears and talk some NC State football. What is still the biggest concern in terms of this roster construction? More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Thursday sponsor is TurboTax. Tax season is creeping up, but it doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever before to just hand off your things and move about your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert from start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours of your own time trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They'll handle everything for you, from W-2s to self-employed forms. They'll also work to get you each and every deduction they can find. All you have to do is upload your documents, and then you go about your day. You'll get the updates right in the TurboTax app from that expert. No stress at all. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just make sure you file by February the 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to living your life. Visit turbotax.com/local in order to book your appointment today, only on TurboTax. Middle portion of our Thursday show, let's talk some NC State football transfer portal yet again. As it stands, as of currently right now, this is on Thursday, NC State has taken in 16 transfers. 9 on offense, 6 on defense, and 1 special teams, which is the punter. That's Jackson Waller. As we're looking forward here, obviously the transfer portal news is going to start to slow down, even though you can still commit if you're in the portal. Grad transfers, they obviously live by their own rules in this day and age. We said yesterday we think we've done a pretty good job on the offense, but what is the position group that has your attention the most? What still needs the most love here in the next couple months?
And I just want to say one more thing about Will Wade's legacy before I dive into this football conversation. For schools and admin, and I'm speaking to you, NC State admin, for schools and admin who imagine that we can just pull up a new coach and we can make their lives difficult and everything's going to be okay. Penn State got rid of their coach. He then went on to Virginia Tech to have one of their best recruiting classes that they've had in the past 15 years. You want to know where Penn State's recruiting class is ranked? 71st. 71st. The teams that they're directly behind, according to 247 Sports, Bowling Green, Troy, South Alabama, Colorado State. Those are the 4 teams, 71 through 68. So I say all that to say, administrators, stop giving Will Wade a damn hard time. If you want to wear the Slobbering Wolf, let him wear the Slobbering Wolf. If we've got the rights to it, do it. Now, what are my biggest areas of concern for football? Coming back to football here. The reality is the big fellas, the guys who do what I was supposed to do, just hopefully a lot better with a lot less injuries. I need some defensive linemen immediately. I need me some big fellas that I feel like, Grayson, I'm going to name you the top sack guys from last year, and you tell me if they're coming back this year or not, okay? Trey Thomas.
No.
Caden Fordham.
No.
Travali Price.
No.
Sebastian Harsh.
No.
Brandon Cleveland.
No.
Chase Bond.
Yes.
Kean Sloan.
No.
So we just went through, and it's not like I took a small sample size there. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Let's get in 8. Let's get in a whole 2 sets of 4. Joseph Adidere.
Yes.
Okay. So that's everybody on the team that had a sack, actually, besides Kenny Soares, who we also know is not coming back.
Yep.
Of every player on the team last year that had a sack, period, how many of them are coming back?
2.
That's correct. Chase Bond and Joseph Adidere. That's it. Everybody else is gone. That's concerning for me. I'm looking around saying, hold on, where are the stops going to come from? And this is not a repudiation of DJ Elliott, not in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't give a damn who your defensive coordinator is. We wouldn't be able to generate pressure without, again, we're talking about a defense that only 2 guys who had a sack last year are coming back to. And right now we have 2 defensive linemen commitments in terms of in the portal. So the defensive line is a major area of concern for me. Once the defensive line is settled out, I'll feel much better about the team. But your line, they set the tone on both sides of the ball. If you've got a good offensive line, it sets the tone for you to have a good passing game because your quarterback's going to have more time. It sets the tone for you to have a good running game because they'll be opening up holes. It's the same thing with a defensive line. If you've got a good defensive line, your linebackers will be free more in stopping the run because offensive linemen can't just climb immediately. You've got to address first level first. And if you got some big fellas that are some dogs, you got some big fellas that'll do some hunting and do some damage if they're one-on-one. You've got to address that level first, which gives your linebackers more room to roam. In the passing game, if you've got defensive linemen that are getting home like that, we just saw what happened with Bain and Mesidor all throughout the playoffs. If guys are getting home, if those dogs are going to hunt with 4, you get more guys in the coverage and quarterbacks make worse decisions under duress. So ultimately, I need to see some quality big fellas jump on out the portal and in the NC State's lap if I am to feel comfortable with the defense going forward.
And for me, I think you got to go with the other obvious answer. It's the linebacking room. And you figure, Caden Fordham has moved on. Kenny Soares has moved on. Sean Brown's going to the NFL draft. He's moved on. Those are your 3 biggest contributors this past season. And, you've had some depth transfer out in terms of guys that didn't quite see the field or maybe only saw the field a little bit. You also have to keep in mind you had some injuries before the season. So, like, for example, we never saw Sterling Dixon last season, who's a transfer from Alabama. Perhaps the staff is viewing him as a starter for 2026. But, like, for the rest of us, we don't really know what we're expecting there. We haven't seen him play. Didn't play at Alabama. Not really sure what to get out of that situation. Now, you did bring in one body from the transfer portal, and that's Dakari Nelson from Penn State. He's a converted safety, so still learning the position. When is it that we're going to see some help there in the linebacking room? And I think at this point, we're not exactly asking for, like, are we going to get a Peyton Wilson? Are we going to get a Drake Thomas? No, that's not going to happen because it's hard to come by. But in terms of the depth of that room, I would like to see something relatively soon here because you're not quite running out of time, but there's only so many quality bodies you can get and plug into this program and then expect somewhat of a, immediate production. So for me, one of my biggest concerns is far and away that linebacker room. And we kind of touched the conversation yesterday on if we think the offense is going to have to lead the charge. As of right now, I'd say absolutely yes, because you've had much more of a concerted effort to replace what you lost on offense than you have so far on defense. And I think DJ Elliott, especially at the tail end of last year, he had them humming at a pretty good clip. Like, the defense was much improved from what we saw in the beginning of the season, but we don't really want to have to go through that progression again. We don't want to have to be Swiss cheese in the opening couple games and have to figure it out later on. If you want to contend for something in 2026, which I would imagine is the goal, you got to have these things relatively figured out by the time you put the ball down in Brazil. I just remembered we're doing that. Yeah, we're playing in Brazil. You got to have things figured out by the time that rolls around. So I want to see a lot more help from that linebacker room. Kenton, what are your thoughts there?
I do agree. And the front seven overall right now, from a talent and depth standpoint, it leaves a lot to be desired. That's just where we are. Don't get me wrong. I think the young man from Penn State is going to be fantastic. I think Sterling Dixon is going to be really good as well when he gets back. But there is so much to be desired because 2 years ago we said if somebody in this linebacking core gets hurt, it's going to be catastrophic. Last year we said if somebody gets hurt in this linebacking core, it's going to be catastrophic. Quick question, Grayson. Did our top three linebackers finish either season last year?
No.
Both of them, both Caden Fordham and Sean Brown, season-ending injuries just at different times, but both did not make it through half the season. So, yeah, you can't really – it's a violent game, okay? It's a lot of stress on the body, and the reality is you kind of get what you get there. We need more depth. We need guys that can play quality ball there. And, again, there's clearly been an emphasis on offense. Well, on Saturdays, there'll have to be an emphasis on offense. Yeah. That's just what it is. We're just going to be in a situation where there's going to be some fireworks on that scoreboard. It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. Am I sure it's going to be a lot of wins? It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. And that's what I'm guaranteeing you.
And look, I mean, if that's what it is, then maybe we should go ahead and start gearing ourselves up for that. But we say this all the time. What is the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing, which is leaving the defense a little scarce and expecting just magically different results. It ain't going to work like that. So I'll be very intrigued to see how the rest of the portal additions will be attacked here moving forward. Honestly, I'd be a little bit shocked if any of the new ones coming in will be on the offensive side of the ball because there's a pretty clear emphasis about where we need some help here additionally. But let us know y'all's thoughts. Where should NC State angle their efforts? What's the biggest glaring deficiency that you see right now on this 26 roster? Coming up next, we're going to round out our Thursday show with an early edition of Fan Friday. They call it Fan Thursday. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Thursday show. Now time for Fan Thursday, top comments of the week. Here we go. Actually, one more thing. Kenton pointed this out. I didn't even notice, but I'm actually double slobbered up. Pause. I'm double slobbering wolf right now, right? I'm the poster child for how great this logo is right now. Sorry, but like NC State, we got to figure this out, man. This is so ridiculous. I got it on twice right now. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Let's get to Fan Thursday.
We would all like to be double slobbered up. We would all greatly enjoy it.
All right. Let's get to Fan Thursday. Sorry, people. All right. First one here comes from Funky Trooster. In context of beating Clemson, that's one way to respond to a disappointing home loss. Go out and get arguably the best ACC road win of any team so far this season. And I don't think Clemson were paper tigers either. They play legit defense. Getting Duke and UNC at home could be so crucial for the Pack this season. It's going to be an exciting second half of the season. I also think the rematch in Charlottesville is going to be a real battle. I fully expect the Pack to be in more of a real rhythm by then. What a wild ACC this year. It's so much fun, unquote. Kenton, what you got?
I think this is a really, really good comment there. You know, that was a way to bounce back. Obviously, there's nothing else you can do to bounce back from a loss like that except win. Except go out there and get your next one, regardless of who's next. And so that's a hell of a win by NC State. And that is a really good Clemson team. Clemson was on what would have been a double-digit winning streak with just a couple more wins. Like, this is not a Clemson team that is to be trifled with in any way. And so ultimately, it does mean something to win that game. But like Grayson and I have talked about already, the only consistency with this team is inconsistency. Let's stack days, guys. Let's stack wins. Let's get on a streak of winning some quality games here. And boy, I'm looking forward to that rematch in Charlottesville as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what goes down there as well. But this year, the old ACC is back. Even our West Coast cousins helping us out with boosting our basketball resumes. So, in the words of one Jermaine Cole, the real is back, the veil is back. It is back. The ACC is back.
Whether this was a full-on display of the law of the wolf or whatever kind of dark magic happened to be in Clemson, South Carolina, I don't think we can emphasize enough how much they really needed to go win that game, and they did. Much needed after a tough loss to Georgia Tech. It helps the resume. It helps morale. It helps momentum. Just a massive win to go down there and get that one. Because to Kenton's point, the ACC is deeper this season than it has been in, 5+ years, 6+ years. And in recent memory, you're looking at maybe 7 or 8 teams that could get into March Madness, much different than what we've seen these last couple seasons. So for NC State, every game is going to be so vitally crucial here down the stretch because we have our bigger ones kind of tucked away in that back half of the schedule. Beating Clemson on the road cannot be said enough. Massive win for Will Wade. Their first true road win against a ranked opponent. Hopefully the first of many for Will Wade at NC State. Second one comes from Sue Simp on the same topic. The question is, was this a fluke? It's up to the team to answer that, but they also need to do this at home too, like we were talking about. As most of the remaining big games are at the Lenny, for some reason, I just can't bring myself to celebrate a whole lot about this win. Maybe still reeling from that Georgia Tech loss. Regardless, at least we won. So yeah, this is the reason I brought up some of the home energy that we really need to get ramped up here. We have some big-time games. In fact, I would argue that the biggest games we play for the entire season are the ones we play at home in ACC play. You have Duke in the Lenovo Center. You have the Dirty Foot Club in the Lenovo Center. I believe you also have Miami in the Lenovo Center. The only really big team that you play on the road, in my opinion, well, one of them was Clemson. The other one is Louisville. You're going to have to play teams like Syracuse, and you still have work to be done on the road. So when we come home, we play in the Lenovo Center in front of the home crowd, we got to amp this thing up a couple decibels. I want this crowd to start registering on the Richter scale. That's what they use to measure earthquakes. The Lenovo Center should be that wild. That's how we all as a fan base get behind our team and help propulsion them to more success, to bigger wins, to quad one wins, to more ranked wins. And then we'll do that. We'll finish in the top 4 and we'll get into the dance. It's upon all of us to get this reckoning back to where we hope that it can be. That includes the fan base. And I hope we start doing that at home.
So, Sub, let me let you in on a little secret about maybe still reeling from that Georgia Tech loss. Is the milk already out of the carton or what? Is it spilled? Well, ain't no use of crying over it, okay? Let's go ahead and make sure that we're better going forward. Let's go ahead and cheer this team on. And is the apprehension and wondering, can this team sustain this? Is that fair? Is that logical? Yes. But you know what fan is short for? Fanatic. We're supposed to be a little bit insane behind this team. We're supposed to be a little bit out of our minds and believing, because that which you can, fully believe that this team can do. Hey, Jimmy V said it many, many moons ago. His bags were packed, right? Like his pop's bags were packed. I'm not saying that you got to believe this team's going to go undefeated. I'm not saying you got to believe this team's going to be great. I'm not saying that you got to believe that every ranked game from now on, you got to believe we're going to win. Just have your bags packed for if it does happen. Just have your bags packed. We've seen more magical things happen at NC State in very recent history. Very, very recent history. So, this team that is extremely talented, them conjuring up more wins. The Georgia Tech loss was a terrible loss. Let's put it behind us, okay? More ball games to be played. Let's look forward, not backwards. When you drive, you don't look in the rearview mirror exclusively for a reason. You end up crashing and hitting something, right? Your insurance premiums will go through the roof. Let's focus on the future.
And last one here comes from Mal. Quick shout out to Mal. She's having a major surgery on Friday. Sending you best wishes. We hope everything goes well. Hopefully a speedy recovery. Her comment says, an FCS national champion and a 6'6" Oregon redshirt freshman. I'm ready for next year's tight end room to make its mark. And on that note, I saw Coach Gavin Locklear on Twitter. He put up some of the metrics, some of the grading systems for the tight end rooms across the country, putting his foot in the dirt and saying, yeah, I was responsible for the best tight end room in the country. And if you want to have that experience, come to NC State and you can be next. Vander Plug and Hunter Province are next in the fray, and we cannot wait to see what kind of difference they make.
Hey, listen, Suge Knight said it many moons ago, and I'm going to say it again. If you don't want your producer dancing in the videos, making sure your tight ends can only catch passes and not block, come to NC State. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but you get the point. Coach Locklear, shout out to you, man. You're doing a hell of a job. You're doing a great job, and it's the old Field of Dreams reference, right? If you build it, they will come. He is building a reputation as an amazing tight end developer, and he is doing what it takes to, show this is sustainable. This is what we will be. This will be a major part of NC State football going forward. I think it'll pay off very well for NC State and Coach Locklear going forward.
That will do it for us here on Thursday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you back here tomorrow on Friday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.